observing the destination.
Close your eyes. Come to me. Feel alright. Just dance with me all through the night. Turn it out. Close to you. I feel good.
Lies of P is truly something special. A beautiful, dark world of puppets and plague, with a slick and responsive combat system to get you through it, with levels of depth that will have you invested from start to finish. And this is only the demo. A must-play for any fan of From Software's entries into the Souls series. And like I said, this is only the demo, so these are just impressions based off the beginning of the game that they've given us. If the game is anything close to the level of quality and finesse that this demo is throughout its runtime, then this is something you should definitely look forward to. This game has hit the quality of Souls games like no Souls-like has ever hit before, and I would have no issue holding this at the same level as those very same entries. This game is quality and polish and beauty and poetic, and also Pinocchio, and it's truly wonderful. If you haven't thought to try the demo yet, maybe this video will push you over the edge to give it a try, but these are my impressions of the game so far based on the Lies of P demo. I look forward to reviewing this when this comes out. This being a demo is quite long. It took me close to 3 hours on each of my playthroughs, of which I've done 2, as this game wants you to be able to learn all of its mechanics without having to throw them all at you at once, so that you can learn them naturally. There's a lot to get into, so let's get into it. You start off as this puppet, and you're led to a lamp, then a choice of 3 weapons. You get the gist of who they're made for. You can see specifically how it'll affect your starting stats. The puppet's saber for a compromise of strength and speed, the Wintry's rapier being full-blown speed over all else. This is the closest to your dex build, and the Great Sword of Fate being the strength rep. I initially chose the Great Sword as that's always my go-to, is big sword, big strength, but I found this to be, in my opinion, the harder start out of the 3 weapons. Not worse, but harder, and the lack of speed does not give you much room to learn its flow and mechanics, at least not as much as the others do. The rapier became my favorite, which is not usually my go-to in Souls games, so after you choose your blade, you walk out and are bound for Hotel Krat, and greeted to just how good this game looks. This entire game is just stunningly beautiful. It's stunning. You get your first enemies, which are just to show you that you can kill. Breeze past them into the main area of the station off the train, and to your right you have a blood trail leading up to some bars, and on the other side of the bars you can see a larger enemy pounding something into the ground. All of the enemies are puppets. When you slice them open, their oil spills all over your clothes. Very different from the red blood splattered across the bodies of the deceased humans. This distinction is important and distinguishes who you're fighting. You're killing puppets. Those are real people. After making your way through the area, you make your way to the big guy. There's a gate you passed on the way that you can now open. Originally, you'd be met with a shock preventing the door from being opened on that side. These are your one-way shortcuts that Souls fans should be familiar with. This enemy is a good place to get familiar with some of the new mechanics unique to this game, and a good spot to explain the combat. You have your light and heavy attacks. Charging your heavy attack gives you a unique attack and is important later. You can also do running attacks and your expected multi-hit light combo attacks. You're equipped with a mechanical left arm, which the starting arm can do tapped swings that do damage or charge swings that do heavier damage. Every different handled weapon has a unique swing pattern, and every blade and handle each have a unique Fable attack, which is like a special attack that uses a meter under your health bar that is built up by attacking enemies or by using items. These attacks can do a variety of things depending on your equipped weapon, from parrying to multi-slash combo hits. You can also block, and if you block perfectly when hit, you'll do a perfect block, and this mechanic is essential to getting through the game with ease, or without having any trouble. It's like the blocking in Sekiro if you're familiar with that. Timing is key. Another mechanic is when an enemy is hit enough, they'll go into a weakened state called Drowsy, where their health bar glows white, and if you hit them with a charged heavy attack, or I believe a Fable attack, or maybe it was the Legion attack, which is your arm, they will go into a weaker state where you have a chance to do this visceral attack on them basically and do a ton of damage. But if you don't act fast enough while their health bar is white, it will disappear, the window that is, and you will not get your chance. And something about the charge attacks is each hit of the charged heavy attack has to hit, or it will not put them into their weaker state. But the big guy goes down simple enough, and you get the key to move forward, get to see some more absolutely beautiful scenery, and the first stargazer, which act like bonfires, fully healing you upon resting and respawning all enemies. And this one temporarily levels you up using ergo, which is dropped by enemies and is your currency for everything, buying items and leveling up and such. Make your way through some more enemies, and now dogs, some more bigger guys, which are good skill tests for mechanics. Eventually you loop back around and open up a shortcut. The shortcut leads to a bridge where the wandering merchant is waiting to sell you those other weapons you could have chose and some lightning enchantment items. You might want to pick this up if you're struggling on the next guy, which we'll get to. There's also a training puppet to try out attacks and to practice perfect blocking, which you will also want to do if you want to progress easily. Now's a good time to mention as well, there are notes throughout the levels giving some insight on the world. Not direct lore dumps, but things like left behind notes, newspaper articles, and advertisements. One behind the merchant introduces you to the ringmaster, who is our next opponent, and he's actually tough. He tests your ability to perfect block, dodge, and hit appropriately. You have to stay really aggressive if you want those hits, which is why I say the greatsword is harder starting out, because you can hardly get in one hit before getting hit or having to dodge. That is, unless you understand perfect blocks. In that case, you can block in time and get your hits in correctly. You can dodge almost every attack, except for the charged up glowing red attacks. These have to be absolutely perfectly blocked to avoid damage, or you just straight up have to turn around and run away. This boss has a second phase and has a thing where his attacks are delayed, keeping them from being entirely predictable. And you actually need to pay attention to what he's going to do. And I like these bosses a lot because it keeps you on your toes. You can't just run in and, oh, he's swinging, move now. You have to pay attention to which swing he's doing and get his patterns down. All around, he's a great first boss to show off. I also wanted to point out the fog gates, because one, I just love the way they look when you go into them. There's this green barrier around it as you approach, and it flakes away when you activate it. It just looks really nice. And on top of that, they've added a mechanic where if you die in the boss arena, it puts your ergo waiting for you outside of the boss arena, so you don't have to go in and come out with it. You can just run up to the boss door, grab it, then run back and use it. Afterwards, you make your way to Hotel Krat, and are faced with a difficulty trying to get in. Puppets aren't allowed inside, and you can see dead puppets scattered about the front door. The automatic defense system asks if you are a puppet, and a prompt pops up asking you to lie and say you're not, or admit that you are a puppet. Now, you wouldn't think to admit you're a puppet considering all the dead puppets around you, but I went ahead and tried it, and the defense system just says you can't go in. Go ahead and lie like you're supposed to progress, and the defense system says one of the laws is puppets can't lie, so you aren't, and lets you in. The game says some gears inside you are turning, which implies something about lying, that it is changing you in some way, possibly. We won't really know until we can see it fully spread out throughout the game, what it actually ends up doing. But the lie is not treated lightly. This is a Pinocchio story, after all. Inside, you get to see Hotel Krat, which seems to be the main hub and is just absolutely beautiful. Sophia is here, who's been talking to you throughout your trek up to the hotel. She gave the first stargazer you got earlier the ability to level you up, but from now on you'll have to come back to Hotel Krat and talk to her to level up, as she has the ability to channel ergo to power you up. There's also the weapons lady that can upgrade your weapons, and gives you this cool new arm that Geppetto supposedly left behind, and the old lady who runs the hotel letting you know you're welcome anytime and giving you some dank drip. Outfits, as far as the demo shows, are purely cosmetic. I don't know if later in the full game that they'll affect your stats, but as far as the demo goes, all the cosmetics found do not affect your stats. You're told to find Geppetto, as him being safe and alive are crucial. So you move forward into the next area, giving a little more vertical traversal in this area. You get formally introduced to Gemini, and he's speaking normal. That distorted voice earlier in the demo was him talking. Sophia actually makes a comment about this if you talk to her again, how he must be broken because of how normal he's acting, or something along the lines of that, and I'll show it here.
Proof you're broken. The real Gemini isn't so calm.
So I'm sure Gemini has some significant importance to the story. But he lets you change out your arm as stargazers, so that's pretty cool. He'll also tell you things he knows about the world. Like as you're walking down the hallways of this new section, he'll point out that this used to be a bustling area for rich people to buy shit.
But that was long ago.
Continue forward, you'll navigate through enemies and thin platforms, find a butterfly that act like titanite lizards or scurrying beasts if you're familiar with Dark Souls or Bloodborne, as they appear for a limited time, and if you kill them in time, they drop upgrade materials for your weapons. Then you find a big guy, another stargazer, and the wandering merchant, who now sells a new weapon, a copper lightning infused sort of bat. There's a lot to explore here, but if you finally kill this extra tough big guy, he'll drop his weapon, the baton. And this is the last weapon I was able to find in the demo. You also see this crazy lady who says she was separated from her baby, and as badly as I wanted to tell her that I would not help her find her baby, I decided to tell her I would, because the first time I did it, it just cut off the quest line. Anyway, continue forward, navigate some new bladed puppets and shock traps. The shock traps can actually be activated with throwable items to avoid damaging you. And you come to a bridge with a inducing message and find this donkey guy banging on a carriage telling Geppetto to come on out. You interrupt him, kick his, well, ass, and free Geppetto. Geppetto is happy to be reunited, but you can't help but notice Pinocchio's disgust at the bright red blood on his own hands. That guy was only human, and if you read the item description of the armor he drops, he was terminally ill, and after an answer for all the deaths brought upon by the puppets, which is what led him to Geppetto. Geppetto tells you he'll meet you back at the hotel, and to press forward. Gives you a bunch of items, including a tool to take apart and recombine your weapons, allowing you to mix and match, and if this alone isn't enough depth for you, just hang on tight. There's more. This allows you to take a handle with a scaling and swing pattern you want, and put it on the blade with the damage, element, and reach you want. I leaned toward the rapier handle with the greatsword blade, as I like the swing pattern of the rapier, but I wanted the most damage. And I didn't care for the electric element. But you could do that if you wanted to. You can combine them any way you want without any punishment for taking apart any of the blades over and over again as much as you'd like. The next area is the last. It's a short navigation to the capital. On the way, you find a green-blooded corpse that looks like it's been corrupted by something. And that something's come out of its chest, maybe. Maybe this is the plague affecting the humans. And maybe that's what this note was talking about earlier in the game. Scales covering the eyes.
Please hurry. Hard scales spreading across my eyes.
Either way, it's harmless now. You move forward and find a baby puppet. You can return it to the woman. You can lie and say it's a beautiful baby, or say it's a puppet. Lying rewards you with the music disc I played before in the opening of the video. Inside the capital is the last boss of the demo. You can use items to wish upon a star and summon a specter to help you fight, but you can only do this for the amount of star items you have. This boss truly tests your dodging, blocking, and aggression, and it's overall very cool. It's a complete blast to fight. This took up most of my time on the second playthrough, as I was trying to get better with perfect blocks and when to dodge, and I didn't want to use a summon like I did the first time. After you take down the giant, you go back to the hotel where you can finally talk with Geppetto. You've acquired a new item, the P organ, and with it the last major mechanic that's available in the demo anyways. There's a spear grid-like skill tree, where you can spend quartz, a rare item from defeating certain bosses, to unlock nodes for special abilities, an extra heal, a second dodge during your first, things like that. And on those you need 2 quartz each. Each quartz gives an additional bonus. Gain Legion from killing enemies, less damage taken during dodging, and many others, and that's the end of the demo. You can keep playing and goofing around. There are more optional dialogue and items like the sick lightning arm, but the game has spent the time to show you every mechanic naturally. And now, it's if that's going to be enough to have you come back for the full release. And for me, it has certainly hooked me. I plan to review this game as soon as I've finished it after it releases, and we'll give a full review rather than a direct overview. But if you call yourself a Soulsborne fan, this is absolutely, without a doubt, a must-try. And in my opinion, based on the pure quality and true finesse, like I said, this demo has shown, it will be an absolute must-play and stand tall among its inspirers. Lies of P is something truly special. If you've enjoyed, leave a like and comment what you thought about the game, and subscribe if you want to see more. It seems like there's another demo to look at, so I'll see you then. Peace.
Turn it out close to you. I feel good, 'cause I just know feeling.